Hey girl, so glad that you tuned in. My name's Bethany, and this is the Make Up Your Mind channel. You're listening to episode number 30. Whether you're actually putting on your makeup, maybe you're getting ready for work or school, or maybe you're in the coffee drive-thru. Wherever life finds you today, I hope that you know that there are people in the world that are for you, that are cheering you on to succeed. Today, I hope I get to be one of those people standing like a cheerleader on the sideline of your life, helping you to make up your mind all day long about the small things that add up to huge things later on. Girl, I am so excited to get started on a new topic today. Some of you know that we've been in a series on identity for the last several weeks, and today we're starting a new series on social media, all things social media. Today, we are on episode 30. Whoa, first of all, that's huge. Today's episode is going to be titled The Social Experiment. So let's get to it. Okay, so firstly, makeup. How do you do yours? I have been watching some makeup tutorial videos, and I'm sure you guys have also done so. And some of them start with their face makeup first, and some of them start with their eye makeup first. And I've gotten to thinking, I have a routine that I follow in the morning when I do my makeup, but I'm wondering what's the most common. I have a feeling that everybody does it a little bit different. So right now, I want you to just take a second and pause, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, and DM me and tell me, do you start with your face makeup first, or do you start with your eye makeup first? I think that on Monday morning when this episode releases, I will also do a poll, and I will release the results of what I find out later that day. So make sure that you get in on that. Go DM me if you missed the poll. Tell me if you start with your face makeup or your eye makeup, because I am just so curious. So speaking of social media, I know that social media is a huge part of our lives these days. It's kind of weird. It's like a third arm almost. You don't even realize how connected to it we have become. I mean, you're probably even on social media now listening to me. On social media, we do everything from party planning to baby announcing to wedding photos to fun fit of the day posts to just your everyday experiences and even showing off your crazy fun vacations. It's just crazy how much social media encompasses. Now, you need to be nice, because remember, I am a lot older and more mature than most of you listening. Not all of you, for sure. But when I grew up, there was no social media. Gasp, right? It's so weird to think about, but I got my first Facebook when I was 18 years old. Some of you that are listening, that are the moms out there, are like, oh yeah, honey, I know. I know, 18 doesn't seem that old, but compared to where we're at today, 18 is very old to have your first social media account. Facebook back then was only for college students. It was almost like a college yearbook type feel. It wasn't what it is now. Can you imagine life without social media? It's been so long now that we've had it that it's almost hard to remember. But when I was young, I would just go outside and play. I'd invite the neighbor over and we'd just hang out and we'd play in the yard. On Saturdays, I'd watch PBS Kids, and that was about it. That was my social life. I remember when I got my first cell phone and we had texting, but I had to count how many texts I could send because it only had, get this, 200 texts a month. You guys, that is what I send in a day now. It's ridiculous. So back when I got Facebook, it was all about posting statuses. It was Bethany is feeling happy about the fact that I got to eat a whole box of chocolates to myself. I know, it's just random. It's Bethany is going to the zoo with friends. Bethany is dreaming about coffee. Bethany is brushing her teeth. No one cares, right? It was a lot more similar to Twitter, only a lot less witty. Seriously, you guys, do you know how they do those memories from years ago? Today, on this day, 10 years ago, I was on Facebook and my posts 10 years ago were so weird, you guys, so weird. Also, I don't like to brag, but I'm one of the first people that I know that actually had an Instagram account. Instagram was released in October of 2010. That doesn't sound like it was that long ago, but considering the fact that we're in 2021, that's been 11 years. I'm pretty sure that I got my Instagram account in January 2011. So just a couple months later. And my first Instagram post is of a Starbucks cup, because this is back in the day where we would take pictures of random objects. It was weird, okay? Instagram started out as like a place for photographers to like publish their cool photos. I didn't have cool photo skills, and so we used to use these like crazy filters. I had this, I can't remember what the app is, but you would put your photo into this weird filter that like put these weird little frames on it to make it look like a Polaroid. It was like so cool back then. My, how social media has changed and evolved, just like how we have changed since social media has come into our lives. When Instagram first began, it was a place for mostly photographers, people that could take really cool pictures. Now it's filled with influencers and still some photographers, some whole accounts dedicated to just memes and like weird, funny things. There are news accounts. I follow NASA. There are business accounts. There's accounts kind of like Make Up Your Mind that are kind of like influencer / inspirational accounts. There are personal accounts, and there are even people's spam accounts. Raise your hand just at home to yourself if you're that person that has a spam account. I know you all have spam accounts. And with the rise of Snapchat and the stories features on Instagram and Facebook, it's changed again. I remember when Instagram first was able to host a video on their platform, and it was like revolutionary. I bet you guys don't even remember that. It was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And now that is so much about what social media is. It's so much more about videos now than it is even about photos or statuses or little things that we write to say what we're explaining. Now it's just Reels, Stories, and IGTV. Looking at how social media has evolved, you can also look at students and young adults and how they have evolved socially as well. I use that word evolved. Some people get kind of like cringy over that word, but I just really mean like changed and transformed with the environment. That's kind of like what I'm meaning by using that word. We've all changed socially how we interact with one another because of social media. Every event we go to, we have to take that perfect pic for the gram of our fit to show it off to everyone so that everyone knows what a fun time we had on Friday night. Everybody better know that I got this cool new pair of Doc Martens, so I better post about it and make sure that I do it in a really cool, hip way. We have even started talking to each other using social media as our reference points. I don't know if you guys have even noticed that. I remember noticing it and feeling kind of weird and awkward that I knew so much about other people's lives, even if I didn't really know them that well. I think nowadays it's just more normal to go, hey, I saw on Instagram that you were in Hawaii over spring break. How was it? Blah, 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 you know? It's like before, that used to be kind of a creepy thing that you knew so much about a person's life. And like, you're spoiling the surprise of showing up to school with your new cool pair of Doc Martens before you even get to school by posting it on social media. So everyone already knows you have them when you show up with them. It's just like kind of weird that we know everything about each other's lives, but we know nothing going on inside each other's hearts. Social media has influenced so much in our lives, even more behavioral changes. I mean, I'm sure you're all aware that if there's anything going on socially or politically that is something that is a heated topic, we all have to say how we feel about it on social media. It's like just something that everyone just does. We better pipe up on social media about how we feel about politics and masks and Kanye West and anything else that's out there that we feel the need to talk about. And sometimes we even feel the need to share our opinions and point at people and tell them off, slap back at them, even when they didn't really ask for it. The thing is that we've been super conditioned to post anything and everything that we want to. Sometimes we even see the feeds of other people and we wonder why our life isn't as curated and as beautiful as theirs is. There's even phrases that have come to be part as normal of our society. Phrases like felt cute, might delete later. Just like I said in the last episode, I think sometimes we need to back up and get our binoculars off of the roadmap. Take a wider look at what social media is and what it's doing in our lives. Because social media does have an effect on us mentally, spiritually, relationally, socially, all of it. Sometimes I think we need to step back and take a step out of the social experiment that we're all kind of a part of right now. None of us really know what it's like down the road to have social media for all of these formative years when we're growing up. This is a new thing. It hasn't been tested. It hasn't been studied. Down the road, what are these effects going to look like in our lives? I think we need to learn how to take a step back sometimes and look at social media as a whole and recognize that it's actually just a platform. It's not our whole lives. It's not our whole worlds. It's actually not even connected to our lives and our worlds. It's mostly just a news feed. All it is sharing the highlights and a lot of the time the lowlights of people's lives. You guys, I know that it sounds like I'm being a downer on social media. And I know that that seems kind of hypocritical because most of what I do is on social media right now. I want you to know that I'm not a downer on social media at all. I am the biggest user of it. But hear me, please. I think that you all know me well enough to know that what I really think is that we need to take a balanced perspective to social media, just like what we do in all areas of our life. Let's not get to one extreme or the other, but let's kind of shoot for the middle balance point. I think when we step back from social media and kind of take a look at it as though it's like a thing that we can hold and look at, we see that it's actually just a tool, just like a hammer, just like a saw, just like a pencil, a computer, a dollar bill. These are all tools that we use to accomplish things. They're things that we use to do other things, right? And that's really what social media is. It's a tool. It's not evil, bad, or wrong, just a tool to be used. And like any tool, it's more about the person using the tool and what they're using it for that determines what the tool does and whether the tool is bad or wrong. Does that make sense? It's about the user, and that's you. I think that in the wrong hands, maybe malicious or exploiting hands, social media can be horrible. It can be straight up evil, you guys. I think in the hands of someone who's unknowing and naive, it can be dangerous. Think about a person who doesn't know how to use a chainsaw and they're holding a chainsaw that is turned on, that has a chain on it. That's kind of scary and dangerous just because the person doesn't really know what they're holding and what it does. You can get hurt if you don't know how to use a tool properly with the correct amount of caution. I think social media in the hands of someone who has a good head on their shoulders, who's balanced and has love for others in their heart, social media can be an incredible tool of connection, creativity, and fun. So, are you okay to go on a journey with me over the next couple of weeks where we take a step back and we look at social media as a tool? I hope that you can stick with me on this journey as we go together. Please, 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 like I said earlier in the episode, send me a DM on any of the social media platforms. Send me a DM and tell me if there's something in particular about social media that is confusing or that you want to know more about. We're going to be covering topics like the highlight reel. We're going to be talking about cancel culture, cyberbullying, and even sex trafficking. There's going to be so many topics covered in this social media kind of series that we're doing, but I want to hear from you. What are some things that you want me to cover? Today, I hope that you can step back from social media and realize that you're so much more than your social media accounts. You're so much more than the curated feed that you have tried to create this image of yourself. Just like we talked about in our identity series, we have to know who we are and whose we are. Even as we're posting on social media, it's going to show how insecure we are. It's going to show if we're lacking in identity. So girl, find your identity first and then tell the world who you are. Today, if you're just mindlessly scrolling, the scroll monster, as Deonis and I refer to it, If you're mindlessly scrolling, don't forget that you can just put it down, put it away, and go be with the people that you love in person. I know that there's restrictions and whatnot, but take it outside. Be away from the online chatter. Center yourself on who you are and whose you are. I'm going to read you a scripture that really speaks to me on this topic, and it's out of Colossians, which I think is my favorite book of the Bible, if you're allowed to have a favorite book. Colossians 3 verses 1 and 2 say this: "So if you're serious about living this resurrection life, act like it. Pursue the things over which Christ presides. Don't shuffle along, eyes to the ground, absorbed in the things right in front of you." To me, that sounds like social media, doesn't it? Don't shuffle around with your eyes to the ground, absorbed with what's right in front of your face. Look up. Be alert. Be alert to what is going on around Christ. That's where the action is. See things from his perspective. How good is that? Girl, thanks for joining me today for another episode on the Make Up Your Mind channel. As always, be sure to subscribe wherever you're consuming this content, whether it's on IGTV, YouTube, or any of the podcast platforms. Make sure that you go and follow me on all the social medias because I would love to chat with you. And as always, remember that you are valuable and you are loved. Girl, I'm so excited to see you next week. Talk to me on the socials. Catch you later.